Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gallery Chimera. My name is Caleb Morgan. This is my wife, Alicia. We are the owners of Gallery Chimera, and we are honored to host tonight's artist talk featuring the members of Contrapunto, distinguished collective of Latin American fine artists whose work explores the intersections of identity, heritage, and contemporary visual language. So we have Catalina Gomez, Colombia.
Yes. Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia. We have Carlos Solis. He's Venezuela. Carolina Rojas is not here tonight, but her work is featured. She's also from Venezuela. We have Melvin Toledo. He's from Nicaragua. And then we had Pedro Fuertes from Peru. And Melvin will be acting as Pedro's interpreter tonight. So if we have any questions for him, then we'll just go directly through, obviously, Melvin. And then Jorge is not able to join us tonight, but he is also part of the collective, and you'll see his work in here as well. So just to give you a little explanation of the work and what the group does, and then we're going to ask some questions, and at some point we will open it up to the audience as well. So Contrapunto's work spans a variety of mediums and styles, yet what unites them is a deep commitment to cultural narrative, refined technique, and a collective mission to broaden the visibility of Latin American fine art within today's global discourse. The name Contrapunto, meaning counterpoints, reflects their dynamic as a group, each artist maintaining a distinct artistic voice while engaging in meaningful dialogue through their own work. The exhibition is a celebration of those contrasts and harmonies, offering viewers a layered, expansive view of Latin American contemporary art. So, please help me join Contrapunto, and let's get this show on the road. So some of these questions will be for the group, and I will have individual questions for each one of you. I'll, make sure that nobody will be left out. I will make sure of that. So. This is actually a group question, and you guys can answer it as you like if you want to come down the group and each one of you give your own individual answer. So tell me, how does the name, or what does the name Contrapunto mean to all of you as a collective, and how does it reflect your own vision or philosophy?
Do you want to start? I can answer that. Okay. Contrapunto, it means for me that is like everybody has their own compass. Is that right? Yes, everybody has their own compass, but at the end, all of us, we are able to make the one big, nice melody. Mm-hmm. That's the meaning.
Yeah, we're like a family in the way that we collaborate, not so much in the work, but generating ideas, talking about what each of us wants to do or is doing, and but also a lot of the time that we spend together just for fun.
Don't think it's that much.
¿Qué significa contrapunto para ti?
Bueno, es parte de la técnica y parte del color que uno aplica en los lienzos, ¿no? Punto por punto, digamos que son colores diferentes en los cuadros que uno va manejando de tal manera que forma una composición. Entonces de ahí sale que es contrapunto, ¿no? Para mí.
Okay. We didn't know that.
That was very philosophical. I don't know if I can do it. So he's making is that a metaphor?
Yes.
Puntos de color.
About what art making is with the colors, point of colors, and all the the different parts of a piece of art, and that's kind of what he feels like contrapunto is. One part that forms the whole.
Contra quiere decir manejar los colores complementarios, tanto así que el amarillo como el violeta, por ejemplo, ¿no? Eso es contrapuntear.
Counter.
Yeah, and counterpoint, which means kind of like the balance between one and another. Yeah. You should be doing this.
Yes, I was thinking about that.
For example, the color green, the color red.
Yes.
For color red,
But
color
also
green.
basically something of what you said is Catalina said. Algo que de lo que tú dijiste también es básicamente lo que dijo Catalina, es puntos de diferentes partes, diferentes perspectivas que son luego se unen. So pretty much what Catalina said, they are pretty much
The same page.
the same page, is different points of colors and then colors or different perspective, but then they get to the agreement point, and that's art.
What about you?
It's all of the above. Yeah, I mean, it's just, the idea was that, I mean, when I started, the group was to bring people from different cultures, with different backgrounds and different styles. But back then, I have a hard time finding a name for the group. Until another artist from the group, Stanley Bermudez, called me and explained to me the name. And I was like, this is it. This is the name for the group, Contrapunto. I mean, it's just a very melodic musical term.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good fit. So that was the point of all this,
So, as an aside to that particular question, this is a question actually for you directly, Carlos. Can you kind of share how Contrapunto physically came together as a group? Was there a specific moment or shared experience that was kind of an epiphany to bring this all together?
Sort of the above.
All of the above?
I mean, again, I moved here, I used to live in Chicago. So when I moved here, I started visiting galleries and museums and art centers, and so there was a lack of Latin American presence. Even when I spoke with the directors of the museums and curators, they didn't know much about Latin American art. Back then, we're talking about 2007, 2008. I mean, there was just one gallery. I think it was at Tula Center, owned by a lady from Argentina. She was the only one that I knew of that had some Latin American artists. But other than that, that's it. So that was the motivation for me. That kind of was like, well, let's do something. See if we can make a difference. And I started meeting and calling artists, searching online because I didn't know anybody here. So I found a couple of artists. The third person that I found for the group, and I talked about the group, was Pedro. That was in 2009, I think. And then it took a while. It took like 15 years to get to put this group because I'm very picky. And I have to be very careful what kind of person I want to bring to the group. And there are several factors, but one for me is to be a good human being, a good person to work with. And they all fit that criteria. I mean, they're amazing artists.
No, sure.
Yeah, but they are professionals and they have the same goals that I have. But I try to keep the group clean in terms of I don't want anybody that is problematic and the egos people with egos doesn't work with me. So, but so far we have been very successful. I mean, 16 years now. So you don't see any. Yeah, I mean, you don't see any groups lasting this long. It's just as far as I know, not even the Beatles. Yeah.
So, this is a group question. Each of you has a very distinctive approach. can you share how your cultural background influences or your process or material choices? Whoever wants to start.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. I think in my case it's not my cultural background. I think it is the moment of life that I am having, what is asking me to create and explore different things. For example, this is my art. Right now, this series is named Beyond the Limits. And right now there are so many things that are going on in my life. One very important thing is that my daughter is ready to leave home because she's graduating from the school. She's getting out of our limits. So that's what impulses me to create things that express those kind of things too, in addition to other things that, for example, I want to express with my art, what we do as an immigrant when we go out of our country. We go out our limits. Some things like that. It's more like the life, the moments, what is making me think about different ways to approach the art, more of my language of art.
I think it's hard to point to something that feels that has a big part in your work, something that makes who you are as an artist. But I'm from a very small, very tiny, let's say, tiny town in northern Nicaragua. And it's one of those places where people know everybody because there's not that many people. And there was no art. I didn't know an artist there or an art gallery, anything close to that. I learned that I liked to draw and that I could do it, and I just kept doing it. And the only thing art-related, in a way, it was the church where they had the big, the Catholic church. A lot of the sculptures, images of the saints and the Virgin Mary and all that. And in a couple of occasions, I have heard people saying that my paintings, my portraits specifically, they kind of have like a sacred look to them. And I always wonder maybe it has to do with that, because that's what I grew up seeing, you know, the images of Virgin Mary and those positions, very holy. And sometimes I do kind of feel like there's something of that. And then I think the other thing is going to Catalina saying about being an immigrant. That also plays a big part in the work that I do. It's hard not to. And yeah, the work also reflects, maybe not so much the work that is here right now, but reflects a lot of what is going on in my life in the country too.
Traducirle la pregunta. ¿Cómo tu cultura influye en tu trabajo? ¿Cómo consideras?
Bueno, bastante. La influencia desde que yo llegué, tuve que cambiar bastante mi estilo. Antes pintaba en español, ahora pinto en inglés.
Mamá, but you have to translate that part. Very, very deep.
He had to change a lot his style when the way he painted when he came to the United States. He used to paint in Spanish and now he paints in English.
No, pero sí hay un cambio. Lo que digo de pintar en inglés es conectarse con el público americano de una forma diferente como yo me conectaba con el público latino en mi país.
And there is a real meaning to that. He refers to having to connect with the American public, which is different how he did it back home in Peru. Mm-hmm.
Well, Man, I don't know what to say about mine.
All of them. I have to
recognize that my culture is very Americanized. Venezuela, well, I'm talking about the 80s and 90s. I was like this big. But I mean, everything was from here. So you have that influence, of course, you have your culture, your music, but you are very attached to what, the pop culture here in the United States. And when I moved here, I'm very familiarized, or I was, with the culture. In terms of my art, I mean, you can look at it. I mean, there are some paintings that are related to my culture, like the Black Angel, and there are some stories and connections with my childhood, like the Black Pearl, that it refers more to my relationship with my mother. The Black Pearl, she used to have a Black Pearl, and to me it was kind of special because I never saw a Black Pearl. And those memories started coming back a few years ago. I was from that experience, I got that image. And from the Black Angel, the little Black Angel, that was a poem that was written by a famous poet in Venezuela. But if you look at my work, you don't see anything, or you don't recognize much about anything about Venezuela. Unless that you know real well Latin America or Venezuela. I mean, I have paintings with Simon Bolivar without a head, and people think they think it's Napoleon. But any person from Latin America knows that was Simon Bolivar. So it's kind of, but I mean, you be the judge of this, of my work, because I feel like I'm connected with those two cultures. It's a good mix.
So this next question is for you. We'll do a couple of individual questions here, Carlos. So this actually kind of goes along with that question a little bit. Tell me, how does memory, migration, or identity show up in your work? How have those ideas evolved over time?
Well, it's always been present. I don't think it's a wall. It's just still there. It's a cycle, like a cycle sometimes. At least with the topic of the work. I don't want to go too political here, but in every election, they always talk about immigration, and sometimes you from that fear mongering, you get ideas and images, and I do occasionally paint related to that. But I don't want to go too political because we live in the South. You don't know how people are going to respond to it, and I don't want to. I'm just tired of confronting people.
Do it.
I just want to be more like a peacemaker and trying to figure out a way to build bridges. And the only way that I know of is through this and through them, because now people that I know or I have met that are very conservative, when they look at this, they have a different opinion about Latin American, people from Latin America, and a positive, opinion. But exactly. And if you watch the news, what is it that you see? The worst of the worst. But once you get to meet this group, or people that are connected to this group, or people that are artists or do something good for the community, then you might really change. And that's what I'm trying to do here.
Good. Catalina, this one would be for you. So, what does it mean to you to be a Latin American artist today? How does that identity shape your practice in contrast to how it might be perceived by others?
A ver, traducime otro poquito de eso, a ver. A ver si lo proceso. One moment, he's gonna help me with the translation. Marta, ¿cuál fue la traducímelo? Can you say that again?
One more time?
Yes.
So,
¿Qué significa eso?
what does it mean to be a what does it mean to be a Latin American artist today? How does-
Sí, eso sí. Ajá.
And how does that identity shape your practice in contrast to how it might be perceived by others?
Cómo esa identidad ha fijado tu trabajo en contraste como la gente te puede percibir como un artista latino.
Ay, no sé qué contestar ahí. Okay, being a Latin American artist right now, I have to be honest with you that there are some times, I'm gonna say something that you never heard. Sometimes I feel, especially during these days, I feel afraid. Because when you do this kind of job, this kind of work, you are in front of people. And it's like you expose yourself too much and you never know what is going to happen. Even if you want to make peace, even if you want to talk about beautiful things, you never know how people is going to react just because you are Latin. So that part is kind of hard, but at the same time, it's kind of an encouragement to do exactly what Carlos just said. It's the opportunity to show that we are here to create community. We didn't come here for another reason. And another thing is in the human DNA is the immigration. This has been happening always. It's not just now. So this is what is making me keep working, but I cannot say that sometimes it's kind of hard because while things are going on.
I would like to add to that. I have met Latin American artists that they don't want to mention the part that are from Latin America. You know, they are very ashamed or they don't want to offend anybody. Especially Latino artists, they are very successful. They are really afraid to offend their collectors. And if they mention something about Latin America or they say they are from Latin America, they might get offended and they might lose a client. That I have met 3 or 4 artists that are very successful, they told me the same thing. And they don't know each other. But it's something that's happening. It's a reality. But, you know, we are trying to do the opposite. To show that we are here, and there's nothing you can do. We're going to stay here. We are part of the community. We have been living here for more than 20 years, and we are trying to do the best we can to be a positive
for the community.
For the community.
Yes. In my case, it is not. I am afraid because I am going to ¿cómo se dice evaluar? Devalue my work is because since there are so many people that are so fanatic, you never know how they are going to react just because you are Latin. So it's sad. But some days I'm better, and I said no. I'm the Latina girl.
I can tell you, I feel the same way. Even that I'm from Germany, I have the same. I get pushback. It's the same feeling, so I understand that.
So, and I apologize, we do have an event space beneath us, and sometimes you can hear it through these very, very old buildings.
Don't worry.
That's the unfortunate thing. Melvin, this question is for you. How has working with Contrapunto changed the way that you see your own work? And if so, how has it changed?
Yes, ma'am.
You need to think into that.
I was nobody before. They made me who I am.
There you go.
I'm not sure if the work has changed so much.
But your life has changed.
But my life has changed. But like I was saying before, there's a lot of encouragement from the group, and when we do something, when somebody of the group does some work and we think it's really good, there's a lot of encouragement. Do more of that, or keep going this way. And so I think that always affects you. And my work has always been very traditional, very precise, I guess, in technique, and the traditional oil painting. And I've been experimenting, doing other things. Like this work is new, something I've been working with, trying. And I talk a lot with Catalina sometimes because I tend to play very safe. I will be that way. And so sometimes I call Catalina and I say, what do you think of this? And Catalina's always like, do it, go for it, do it. I'm like sometimes afraid to ask her because I feel like I know what she's gonna say. And so like I feel like
Yes, exactly.
But I've done some things because I feel like the group really encouraged, like, yeah, do that. That's really, we really like what you're doing there. And so if you saw the work that I was doing prior to join the group, I joined the group in 2020. You will see a lot of similar stuff. There's something that keeps it all together, but I've done things that I hadn't done before. Using different techniques, getting into working with installation, for example. And also, the biggest thing I will say is that through the group, I got to work at to have an exhibition at the Marrera Museum of Art. And done a couple more. And so I had the opportunity to meet the museum curator and the people there, and that made it.
Marietta.
The Cop Museum, yeah. Last year I had my first solo exhibition, museum exhibition at that museum, and that was a lot easier because the people already knew me, I knew them, and it really helped, I think, in getting that show together.
So, last individual question for Pedro here. So, Pedro, what's something about your creative process or journey that people might not expect or understand at first glance?
Que es algo sobre tu proceso creativo, tu journey,
Tu
camino como artista que la gente tal vez no espera al verlo en este momento.
Bueno, en mi caso, trato primero, antes de que me guste una obra, de conectarme con el público.
So he tried before bringing the work, they tried to connect with the public.
Y obviamente, para conectarme con el público, ha habido un cambio desde que yo llegué hasta ahora.
And like I said before, to connect with the public here, there's been a change in his work.
Y dentro de ese cambio nace un poco el aporte, donde trato primero de que la gente se conecte con el cuadro, pero de la forma que empiece a averiguar qué cosa es, porque yo manejo más el abstracto, pero dentro de esa abstracción hay un concepto que doy la oportunidad de que el espectador dé rienda suelta a su imaginación.
And so from this work, he tries to find a way for the people to connect with his work. And being abstract, he wants the people to find a way to connect with the work before, sort of like you make the connection without him exactly telling you what to think.
Lo puedo decir en otras palabras más fáciles. El 50% de la creación de la obra lo pone el espectador, pero para eso tengo que motivarlo con el concepto que plasmas en el lienzo.
In more simple terms, there's like a 50-50 between the artist and what makes the work. 50 is what the spectator brings in, but the viewer is encouraged by what he's trying to, what he puts in front of you, and then you kind of like complete the work. There's that conversation.
Do you understand what it's okay?
Yeah. And there you go.
Very good.
So this is a question for the group. How do your individual voices come together to create a cohesive group dynamic while still maintaining your own unique artistic styles?
You have to start.
No.
You have to start.
Go first.
So repeat that question again.
How do your individual voices come together to create a cohesive group dynamic while still maintaining your unique artistic styles?
I think there's a lot of respect among the members of the group. There's the encouragement part, but it's not telling you have to do it this way or you should do it this way. I think we all respect the way that we work, and so we try to be very professional in that part. Because if not, then now you're touching really sensitive areas. You know, each artist has the work that it took time, it took years to develop what you're doing, and so you have to be very careful. You can say that's wrong, you cannot do that, or don't do it this way, because then you're really, it's like cutting a tree from the very bottom. Right. If you want to prune it, then you can do a little bit of that. So I think, just being very professional and encouraging. I think there's always, I think probably all do it when you like something the artist did, and you really admire it, and you're gonna go all the way, and you wish the artist will do more of that, and maybe even without saying it, when you hear those things from somebody that really like what you just did, that probably pushes you to do even something similar or something, or just try harder to go farther with what you can do.
All of the above.
You can't say that anymore.
No, de verdad.
¿Qué pregunta?
¿Cómo el grupo mantiene su coherencia,
Su individualidad como artista.
siendo cada uno tan diferente, su propuesta tan diferente, la propuesta de cada uno muy distinta, pero sin embargo se mantienen como un grupo sólido?
Creo que lo que pasa es que cada uno venimos de países diferentes, con diferentes puntos de vista, temperaturas de color diferentes también.
I think we all come from different countries with different background, culture, and also different temperature.
Bueno, y pues lo que hacemos es mantener una humildad como artistas, porque en nuestros países muchos años hemos trabajado y hemos sido conocidos. pero llegar a este país a uno no lo conoce nadie. Entonces desde un comienzo empieza uno a trabajar de una manera de cómo llegas a conectarte con el público y con los compañeros, que para eso tiene que tener mucha humildad, ¿no? Mantenerse como obreros del arte toda la vida.
And you have to be very humble, especially when coming from back in your country. Maybe you're already well known. People knew your work and were familiar with you. When you come here, you're starting from zero. And so you have to be very humble and just keep working, keep going at it, trying to create that path for your work, almost as a new artist.
Ahora, not all of the above. No, I think one of the things that help us to be together and keep working together is the goal that the group has. That is exactly what I just mentioned before, that is telling and showing the community that we are here to create community. So that is something that keep us all together and focused and keep us like very authentic with what we create.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, in my case, when I mentioned before how I pick the artists, because that's very important. When I look at, when I met Pedro was already established artist in Peru. And I saw his work before I met him. And I was like, it was like an interview, but it wasn't like a formal interview. You know, when I look at, I talked to him, I want to know a little bit more about him before I asked him to join the group or the project of Contrapunto. And the same thing with Catalina, even though Catalina didn't have the experience that he has. I saw the potential and the motivation, and she was there. She was calling me almost every day. He
won that, but that's not true.
I love that because she's persistent. She wanted to learn. She wanted to do something with her life related and connected to the arts. With Melvin was a little bit different also. He was living under a bridge. He was very poor.
I was nobody before that.
No, well, I mean, Melvin, I saw his work in the MoCA Museum, and you can see it's very traditional, but I just, it's like something like, it tells you, this, I mean, I want to meet this guy. I talked to him, asked questions, so I came over to his house, but it was a very difficult time because we were in the middle of the pandemic. I just had heart surgery. We came over and we just, we figured out a way to meet and talk. And it was cold. I was outside. But when I saw his work, he was laying down his paintings in the back of your house, right? In the porch. I was like, wow, this is, I think he's a good fit, even though he's different, he's more traditional. I think he can evolve. And another thing that I learned by experience is that there are two kinds of artists. One, they feel like, okay, I want to join this group, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to fight hard and become a professional artist. But there is another kind of artist that said, wow, these artists are too good for me. I can't handle this. I just want to go away. I just want to say adios. I don't want to be part of this. And what I saw of them was the opposite. It was like, I want to grow. I want to paint. I want to become a professional artist. And we're willing to do whatever it takes to become a successful influence artist. So, but again, it takes time. and you have to be very patient. I understand where they're coming from, understand the culture, understand even the language, because even though we speak Spanish, some people don't understand. Here in the United States, our Spanish or our language is very different. The culture is different. And sometimes I say something that might be offensive to them, but once we get to know each other, that was it. We became family. But you have to create an environment within the group so that it is easier for them to be part of the group.
So this question, it's for all of you. You guys don't all have to answer, but I'm curious myself. And this has to do with community. How can the local community support Latin American artists more meaningfully, not just through attendance, but also ongoing engagements?
That's still a mystery.
And I know this is very important for you guys because I know that we feel that the Latin communities are underserved. Yes.
I mean,
so.
The fact is that many of the Latin Americans or Latin American people that come here lack of education, and they come here to work. And there is also a group that are trying to escape their countries because of political issues and problems. Culturally, they are not connected, affiliated to the arts. So, and then you have established a middle class Latinos living in the United States. They like art, but they don't know how to become or be a collector. There are very few. And I'm going to tell you guys, and I have to be very honest, when galleries approach me, they say, do the Latinos here in Atlanta collect art, buy art? And sometimes you have to say no, because you invite, I'm from Venezuela, I invite a lot of Venezuelans and a lot of Latinos, and so then very few then come, and none of them buy art. And galleries know, they want to know. And if we don't learn to collect art, we are not going to have a chance in galleries and museums. Not museums. Museums are a little bit more open to have a Latin group. The galleries are kind of, very specific. They have meetings with me and they ask me straight in my face, hey, how the Latinos, do they collect? Do they buy art?
Right.
If we bring you to this gallery, you guys are going to bring a group of collectors? So it's tricky. It's tricky.
But can I add something there? I think we need the support not just by the Latin community. We need to get to the other communities. We want other communities to know that even if we are a little bit different, at the end we have so many things that are so similar. And there is not the rest of the community don't have to be afraid that because we are Latin, we are probably not good enough to collect or something like that, or we are not good enough to have a conversation and be together. What I want is, and what we have as an objective is that we want to show the rest of the community that we are good too. That's very important to us.
As people, you mean?
Yes, as people, that we come here to, and the way we do it is through our work. That's the language that we know how to speak. So that's what I want. Is more like, it's not just the Latin community. I was invited not a long time ago to an event in Alpharetta to show my art and African American art to people from Alpharetta for them to see what we can do. it wasn't good for me, that event, because there were 4 people, 3 white, I was the 4th, and the other 50 people were African American people. And I said the point wasn't it, because at the end you are showing the art to the same people that know who you are. You need to get to the people that don't have the opportunity to know you before, to be able to recognize that you have so many things different, but at the same thing, so many similar things. That we humans at the end, we are the same. So that's more important for me, get to the whole community.
Yeah, Gallery Chimera have to show you more without having the, oh, what do you bring in? What do you guys bring in?
Yeah.
I want you guys in here so that I can show our community who you guys are. I agree. I totally agree with you guys.
The last 10 years, in terms of the African American community, you see artists merging and becoming very successful because the African American community, upper middle class, are investing and collecting African American art. With us, it's a little bit different because, as I said before, Latinos is no a monolith. We are a little more complex and different than other communities. But we are trying to do the best we can to connect with every community, because if you see our work, it doesn't. It can fit in any house, in any place in the world, you know. But it's good to know that you have a support from your community, and it doesn't have to be a specific nationality. It has to be, because if it's like that, then I just pick only Venezuelan artists. If I think like that. No, we have to figure out a way that we, as a group, from different parts of Latin America, we can work together and support each other, regardless of what you where you come from. Don't look the borders, because in the end, borders divide people. Even a lot of people here don't know, but we in Latin America, we don't get along well. I mean, this is, you know, here, what we are trying to do here is something unique and different. Regardless if she's from Colombia, Nicaragua, Peru, we are brothers and sisters. And we are going to support each other no matter what. But we also want to reflect that to the people that come to our shows and say, you see, there is something special there, we want to be part of that. And by doing that, it's not only supporting you by coming to the show, but also investing in your work. You know, but you have to think about that, because this is a unique situation. There are no Latin American art groups in Atlanta. There are shows from time to time. You see galleries putting together a show, but as a group, we are the only one. So you have to think about that. We need more presence here in Atlanta, and we can make the difference.
I agree.
I hope so.
Yeah, I fully agree. I want to open it up to the audience. I'm sure you guys have some questions.
What I'd like to say is, regardless of the language that you speak, the art speaks to all of us. It doesn't speak in English, it doesn't speak in Spanish, it doesn't speak in German. It speaks to us, to our hearts, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions? There?
I was just going to ask, was there anything you felt you had to change in your artistic style coming here to appeal more to the public here?
I started to paint here. Here, thanks to the Jones Creek Art Center, they were the ones who opened my wings. And I never, during the time that I had been doing this just as a professional, I always question myself, what is the best way to improve what I am doing, to improve my own language? but not because I need to meet some expectations from other people. No, it's because I want to keep growing. But it doesn't have to change for others. It's just for myself, for my own growing.
And I love that your piece at the Johns Creek Art Center represented a Latin American figure, you know, and you won first prize. And
you did?
Yes. We are a family, yes. Thank you so much. We have secrets with the brothers and sisters, you know that, Paula.
Thank you for your question. Anybody?
In my case, I don't think I had to change what I was doing. At the beginning of my work, of my life as an artist here, I was painting a lot of still life, florals and fruits and that kind of stuff. And they were selling like crazy. And so I just painted basically that. So I didn't have to change what I was doing, but I kept doing it because it was selling. And up until 2018, that's most of what I did. If you see my work now, it's very different in subject matter and also in technique and somewhat. So it does play a part in mostly in selling the work. I think the communication, I think like one of you said, we're all just the same. We're all humans, and the connection with art, I think maybe it's genetic, I don't know, but there's always something there. And whether it's something that represents your group or your culture anyway, I feel like there's always somewhere we find to connect with a piece of art. Either if not this piece, the next, but I think we're always looking for that way to make connection with art.
Tuvo que cambiar algo al llegar a este país con el fin de que la audiencia lo percibiera
Te acogiera.
de otra manera.
Por supuesto.
Of course.
Tuvimos que cambiar bastante.
We had to change a lot.
Ya. Sí, hicimos mucho cambio, no solo en la pintura, sino en la actitud de cómo tener una presencia cultural aquí.
We had to change, not just in the art, also how to have a cultural presence in this country.
¿Puedes explicar un poquito la razón por qué? Explicar de que vos, cuando vos estabas allá, vos tenías las puertas abiertas y viajaste muchísimo, te llevaron como representante de Perú a otros países, y acá pues te ha tocado remar más duro.
Y también, ¿en qué manera ha cambiado tu trabajo, si es que ha cambiado?
Bueno, sí, pues ha sido un cambio bien duro, ¿no? Yo en Perú es bien difícil vivir del arte.
It has been a big change.
Pero yo en el Perú,
In Peru, it's really hard to make a life as an artist.
pero en el Perú logré hacer un nombre con mi pintura. Yo representé al Perú en 19 países.
But in Peru, he managed to make a life as an artist. He was representing Peru all over the world, 19 countries.
Hasta que mi embajada me trajo aquí. Yo trabajé en el consulado del Perú 15 años.
Until he moved here with the Peruvian embassy, and he stayed working there for 15 years.
Y obviamente no vine solamente a trabajar en una oficina, sino a buscar levantar la imagen del Perú culturalmente.
And he didn't come here just to do work at an office. He wanted to live Peru's image here.
Y bueno, por eso me tocó trabajar de otra manera y empezar de abajo, de nuevo.
And so that's why he had to work in a different way and to start from from zero.
Pero siempre pintaste abstracto, cambiaste tu manera.
Sí, abstracto al comienzo. Yo primero fui retratista, totalmente figurativo. Pero ya cuando egresé de la escuela de arte, ya busqué un estilo abstracto totalmente.
His work has always been abstract since he finished at school. But before that, he was a figurative painter. And in the process of graduating, he developed this abstract work that he's been working on.
Y después me convertí en un surrealista abstracto.
And then that turned into abstract surrealism.
Porque dentro de la abstracción trato de mantener imágenes escondidas para que el público empiece a conectarse con ellas, averiguando qué cosa es.
So it's abstract surrealism because he's always hiding figures or something in the abstract, something that the viewer gets to find and experience and connect with. Listo.
Well, in my case, when I was younger, I wanted to be a sci-fi fantasy illustrator and also a writer, because I have this unique imagination, and I have these weird dreams, and I want to develop it into stories. But when I moved to the States, as an immigrant, was difficult in the beginning. You had to, work, and we have just a little girl, and it, that takes time away from you. I didn't know the language, so I had to learn the language, take English classes, and then college and so on. But then I was like, this is a good opportunity for me to take art classes. See what can I do to become a full-time artist. But I was struggling with surrealism because, as I said before, when you think about surrealism, the first person that you think of is Dalí. So no matter what you do, the first thing that people are going to think is Dalí. It's very hard to get rid of. It's like I remember when I was doing sci-fi drawings, people, Star Wars. And before that, Disney. So it was Disney or Star Wars. With surrealism is Dalí. But what can I do? I mean, you have those dreams, I have to paint it. Those are mine, those are not Dalí's. I was like, you know what? Forget it. I just gonna do it. I don't care. People are gonna criticize me, but it's always criticism for anything. I mean, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dance, or whatever. I mean, it's just you eat, you don't eat. So I just gonna say paint this and try surrealism. Of course, when you see my work in the beginning, it needed to be a little bit more polished. So I stopped for a while and I started painting animals, just animals and landscapes. I took some classes, and then after a couple of years, when I felt I have the necessary skills to be a surrealist artist, I started painting again surrealism. And of course, and you see through time the evolution of my work. I want to keep, of course, learning and practicing, and with time you become better. Not perfect, because I don't think anybody is perfect, but you get to do better work.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Anybody else have any questions?
Don't be shy. Over there. Those two in the back. No?
If not, so I have another question for you guys here. I think it's a good one to kind of close things in with. What do you hope that visitors take away from this exhibition? Is there a feeling, question, or reflection that you want them to leave with?
That's a great question.
¿Qué quieres que se lleve el público?
She said all the paintings.
I'm going to talk about what what I want the people to go with my art, specifically with my art, is I want people to find here like peace in their heart. I think we need to start to dream more. We need to be more romantic, because I think the society has bringing us to be more too practical, and it's always we are amplifying things that are not good. So I think we need something that makes us feel like in peace, and I hope you can find that in my art.
Bueno, yo creo que nos compartimos las emociones con el espectador y el artista, ¿no? Cuando alguien compra una obra, no es solamente para decorar, sino porque se ha conectado con ella emocionalmente, ¿no? Y para nosotros es una satisfacción de que esa conexión esté en su casa, y eso para nosotros también es una emoción.
we share a lot, the artist with the viewer, with the art, and there is a very important, beautiful connection that happens when somebody purchases the work and brings that emotion into their home.
That's it?
That's it.
I think we're living in a time right now where, especially here, there's a lot of division, not just among us and the rest of America, but like every group, and politically it's even worse. So I think, and I think there's a reason for that, is because politicians know that you have to scare you somehow, somewhere, so that you take them as our savior and then do what they want us to do. And so I think what we do with art, and I think with music, with theater, with everything, is that we're sharing our humanity, that we are all the same, really. Underneath the skin, we're all the same, and we need to remember that and fight for that, because if not, they get away with it, and we all lose, not just immigrants, but all of us really do.
I already said
Come on, more. Don't be shy.
You know me, I'm very shy.
Well, is there, before we wrap up, is there any final thoughts that any of you have? Any impressions that you guys want to leave? Any final thoughts at all?
Well, no, I want to thank you guys for this opportunity. I mean, it's bringing a Latin group. This is the first time that you guys bring a Latin American group here.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. And
Yes.
you are like took the risk. The risk.
It's not a hard risk to take. It wasn't a hard risk. You know?